Hello friends and welcome back to the Craft Castle. In today's video, I am going to show you something I've never shown anyone how to do before. And that is to use two different laser machines at one time. We're going to be using the Xtool P2S and also the Xtool F1 for today's project. Today's end result project is actually really simple and easy to make. You could do the entire project on one machine or the other machine. Like, you don't have to use both machines, but today I'm going to use both machines. The reason for that is what I've learned through the years of owning my laser machines, all of them, is that there's not a one size fits all when it comes to owning a laser. I love my Xtool P2S because it can cut all acrylics and it cuts them like butter. I just love it. But I am going to be using my Xtool F1 to engrave on my acrylic because the engravings with the infrared laser on acrylic is straight up chef's kiss. Now, I did say that the end result of this product isn't going to be something complicated. Oh, I also forgot. I'm also going to create a jig on my Xtool P2S so I can use it in my F1. But the end result of this project isn't going to be something that is going to knock your socks off, unless you purchase my cardstock from my cardstock warehouse, because then it might, because it's actually something useful to our cardstock warehouse, but it isn't like this crazy complicated laser project. What I'm making today are these little name badges that are gonna go on our cabinets that we have now for my cardstock warehouse. Now, a little backstory. Clearly, I have moved. I have a whole new craft room. When we moved, we also not only moved my craft room, we moved my cardstock warehouse. Now, in the original house, the old house, we had this extremely large or oversized garage. Above it was my craft room. Below it was my cardstock. Now, two things happened when we moved. First, my craft room got half the size smaller. Also, so did my garage, which housed my cardstock. Now, that is okay when it comes to the cardstock portion because we actually had ran out of space for the cardstock in that oversized garage. So now, most of or all of the backstock for our cardstock is held at a different storage warehouse situation. Now what we have is just one case of every single color that we offer in the cardstock warehouse. My hubs, the guy who processes all the orders for the cardstock warehouse, got these really cool cabinets to keep everything nice and organized and aesthetically pleasing. If you know nothing about me, you will know that I love a good organization. So the fact that he went all out and got these cabinets, just makes me drill a little bit, my heart thump a little bit. So anyways, he was gonna put these labels on the front of them just with our little Dymo label maker thing. And I was like, that's cute. It's all right. I think I can make you something better. So anyways, they're metal cabinets, and all I'm doing is I'm making these right here that have magnets on the back, and we're going to put them onto the fronts of the cabinets. Again, I told you, nothing absolutely amazing when it comes to the laser world, but if you are an organizational freak like me, or if you love purchasing my cardstock, then you'll appreciate this, I think. I will show you what the end results look like of this because it's going to make you drool too. all the organization cabinets, it looks fabulous. But the reason why I'm here to show you what I'm doing today is really just the capabilities of lasers. So the Xtool P2S can cut all acrylics, and I love it because it can cut all acrylics. But the other flip to that is when you engrave acrylics, what you're really doing is you're taking away layers of your acrylic, and then you have to go back in at a later time and refill it with paint or marker. It's kind of a long process, and to be honest with you, the end results I don't really care for. So when you use the Xtool F1, you actually get these really cool engravings like this right here. So this thing is cut out in the Xtool P2S. Now the engraving is actually engraved on the Xtool F1 using the infrared laser. And it's not engraved on there as you would normally see it in a true engraving. It actually has you can feel it. It's bumpy. It's actually raised on there. And it's just this crispy white. I didn't have to do any paint fill, nothing like that. It just engraved just like this. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we're going to use two Xtool lasers at the same exact time to get one product. Not that amazing of a product, I know. But the process is a lot of fun because I'm going to create a jig with my P2S, use it in my F1, and I'm going to show you how to make 100 of these little name taggy things. And we're going to do it like super quick because it's not hard. As I say it out loud, it definitely sounds complicated. But the cool thing about buying lasers that are all within the same brand like Xtool is I only have to use one software. So with a click of a button, I can toggle between different lasers only using one software, which is exactly what I love about it because I love efficiencies. And so the fact that I can use two lasers on the same time with the same software and not have to like go back and forth and make this overly complicated like it sounds. It sounds like it's overcomplicated, but I can tell you it's not. And I'm going to show you that it's not overly complicated. And the reason why I've never shown anyone this before is because it sounds like it's overly complicated, but I swear it is not. It's real easy. So are you ready to go? Ooh. First, the reason why, and I want to show this to you because the F1 is a diode laser and an infrared laser. The infrared laser does really good at engraving things. Engraving metal, like I did my gold necklace here. This is white gold that I engraved, has held up amazingly. I would not suggest cutting anything with the infrared. It just does really good with engraving. Now, you could cut the black acrylic out on the F1, and I'm going to show you why I chose not to. This is what was cut out on the Xtool P2. Let me get the camera. Oops, it's upside down. But we're really looking at the black rectangle. The black rectangle has all these really, really straight lines, and there's no like fuzziness or cracks in the acrylic. The back, I got a little messy with the glue, but otherwise the cut of this is absolutely phenomenal. Now, this one right here was cut out with the Xtool F1. And this is why I say, when people ask me like, can the F1, can the M1 Ultra, can any of the diode lasers that Xtool offers cut acrylic? My answer is while technically it can, I wouldn't even try because I don't like the quality of the cuts. Now, I always say this because then I'm like, well, if you've never had a CO2 laser, which that's what the Xtool P2S is, then you don't know what you're missing. So sometimes I have friends that are like, oh my gosh, I cut acrylic, and they send me pictures of it. And I was like, wow, you cut acrylic. In my brain, I'm like, the cut, while you did it, I don't think the cut looks as great as what you could get if you had a CO2 laser. So this is exactly what it is that I'm talking about. This was cut out on my Xtool P2S, which is a CO2 laser. This was cut out on my Xtool F1. I can tell you right now that I have never gotten a cut on a diode laser out of acrylic that I actually loved. And that's why I use two machines. So here is the front. I engraved this as well with the Xtool F1. Let's see here. It's off-centered for one, and it may be hard to see, but let's do it like this, and maybe you can see it this way. Oh, I think I got it. Finally got it. Where the front is lower than the back. Okay. Also, it may be hard to pick up. You can pick it up on the back really well, but there is like, right there. Do you see all those little dots? That's Flashback, and it's like, it's kind of melted or curdled. I don't even know what we'd call that, but this right here, you can't get off. In the front, it's like that too. It may be harder to see because we have the engraving on there as well. But the front also has that. On this, there is none of that. So if I move this around, because this was cut out on a CO2 laser. So the CO2 laser, I would 100% suggest if anyone is trying to be a acrylic artist, like if that's your main focus, I would definitely say just go to the CO2 because the quality of cuts that you get with the CO2 laser is exactly why I split this up into two different machines. So let's make the name tags first. I'm going to show you how to use two machines in once, and then I will show you what the new Celebration Warehouse cardstock shop looks like. Let's go. Okay, so this is how you utilize two machines at once. So all I'm going to do is, this is the file that I was just working on. I no longer want to use the F1 to cut the acrylic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another tab, And on this tab, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure and be connected over to my P2S. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rectangle that I've already created and I'm going to copy it, Command C. So I'm going to come over here, click on my new project for my P2S, and I'm going to paste it. So Command V. I'm not going to resize this, but what I am going to do is create a bunch of these. And the quickest way to do that is come over here to this right here. And then we are going to do grid array. Okay, I need to make a total of 100 of these because I have close to 100 different cardstock colors. So I think I'm going to be able to get 10 across, 20 up. What's that? 10 times 10 is 100? Yeah. Okay, you can adjust the spacing if you want, but once you're done, you just press done. So I'm going to cut these out and I'm going to select the material setting that I'm going to be using, which is 3mm acrylic. These are the settings that Xtool already tells me I need to use for acrylic. Now what I need to do is go and turn on my Xtool P2S and insert the material that I'm going to be using. Okay, I'm going to turn my machine on and I'm going to insert some black acrylic. Now this right here, I'm going to keep the masking tape on just because I don't want it to burn my acrylic when it cuts. Over at the computer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to my P2S. It's going to auto refresh. And then anytime I'm ever cutting anything or even engraving, I always like to come over here and do an aimed measure. Now you obviously can tell I did not put a full sheet of black in here. The reason for that is I have a bunch of scrap material that I need to use up. I got a lot of scraps. So I'm just going to try and fit all of my cuts out onto this one piece of scrap material. Okay, I'm gonna need another piece of scrap material because I have 7 left over that I need to get done, but that's okay. Okay, now that I have that done, all I'm gonna do, I already have my cut settings figured out. I'm just gonna press process and then press start. It's gonna take about 15 minutes for my Xtool P2S to cut. So all I'm going to do now is press the green or the blue button at my machine. I do have another piece of material, so when that one is done cutting, I'm just going to insert this one and finish cutting out the rest of the rectangles that I need for this project. While we wait for these to cut, the other thing that I need to do is create a jig for the F1. So what I'm going to do is open up a new tab for the P2S and I'm going to insert a square. Now the base of my F1 is 5.5 by 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is unlock this and I'm going to make this square, or I guess it's going to be a rectangle, 5.5 by 6 inches in height. This I'm going to need to cut out because this is going to be my jig, but I also need to cut out the little pieces of my rectangles that I'm creating. So going back over into the P2S, what I'm going to do is I am going to insert, I'm just going to take a few of these. I'm going to copy and paste. Now you will notice that I'm not resizing anything. I'm simply just copying and pasting throughout the entire program. Now I'm not going to be able to fill up this entire rectangle that I created with everything because the cutting size is actually smaller than the bed size. So I'm just going to insert just a few of these. You don't have to have all of them. It would be nice if you could, but I don't think you're going to be able to get all of them. That should be enough that will fill up. So this right here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to press group. And I'm going to put this into my rectangle. I am going to leave it a little bit of room because you can't engrave at the very edge, the top edge of the F1. I'm going to select this right here and I'm just going to center it horizontally onto my thing. So you can cut this out in whatever you want. You can cut it out of wood, acrylic, even cardstock if you wanted to. I'm going to cut this out on wood. So I'm going to come over here to the unknown material and I'm going to choose the piece of wood that I'm going to be using and press confirm. Now I do want to switch this over to cut because I need to cut this out, and then the P2S already tells me like what material or like what my cut settings should be. I'm just going to choose something else and then click out of that. Okay, now that that's done, what I want to do is put in a piece of this plywood. I ended up using a thicker plywood, and the only reason for that is because it's laying flatter, and you definitely want your jig to stay flat on your base. So I'm going to use the thicker plywood, insert that into the Xtool P2S. Since I switched out materials, I do need to update this from 3mm to 6mm. We are going to refresh the bed image. That should be all right for the speed and power. And I'm just gonna move this to an area like that. Now that that's done, you just wanna press process and then press start. Pressing that magic button. Now we have 14 of the pieces being cut out on the jig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one layer off of the masking tape. We'll take the back layer off in a little bit, but we'll just do one, doesn't matter which side. We're gonna do 14. Technically, you're gonna need to do it for everything that you're gonna end up engraving. But we'll just start out with 14 for right now. Okay, now that that's done, all I'm gonna do is open this up. It is smoky in here. All right. These things right here are extras. We don't need them. You can actually throw them away. This right here is the thing that's most important because this is our jig. So let's take this over to the F1. We also can turn off this thing because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this jig and we are gonna put it onto our machine. I'm going to put this very edge to the very back of this. So just like that. I know, it's like masterful science. Okay, so we have this in. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our pieces of acrylic that we have cut out and we are going to put this into our jig. And do you see those two blue lights right there, or those two lights? What you need to do is make sure you are centered or focused on your things. So I am now. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my jig that we already cut out and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. Oops, before that I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this out of the way because we don't need that for right now. And I'm going to paste this into my working area. Now, obviously, this is not going to fit. The entire thing is not going to fit. But what I am going to do is I'm going to now click this. We're not resizing anything. I'm going to right click and press Ungroup, and I'm going to delete this large square because I don't need it anymore. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to take this and we are going to press Framing. Do you see how this blue line, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but this blue line right here is not matched up to this. So what we need to do is select our blocks that we have and we need to scoot them down until we get them to match up. It'll be easier to see here. So do you see this blue line? This blue line needs to be inside. Okay, that looks perfect, almost perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop framing. Okay, I'm going to take my glitter black. I'm going to put it into this right here. Now this right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this over, right click and change this over to a different color. We're going to lock. Okay, now I have it locked into place. So now these won't move around. I can't move them around. So this right here, I'm going to put it into my little jig area. I'm going to copy and paste and I'm going to create all glitter white. Now that I have all of my text boxes filled out, if you wanted to check your work, all you need to do is press Framing. You're going to be able to see that everything is nicely centered into this right here. Okay, over here is I want to click on this and I want to put Output. I want to ignore it. I don't want to cut this out at all. So now what I'm going to do is just press Process. It's going to take a total of 2 minutes to do all this, and then I'm just going to press Start. And then at the side of the machine, I'm just going to press the button. Now that we have that, you can go ahead and move this if you wanted to, but when we slide these out, now it's perfectly centered. Every single one of these is perfectly centered. No issues at all. Now, whenever you move your jig around, what you need to do is do like a reframing. Let's put in all of these again. You shouldn't have to do this, but just in case you wiggle around your frame or your jig, we're gonna put this back in here. All of these, I went ahead and just peeled more masking tapes off. Okay, now that we have that, you can see where the lines are lined up, so then you can maneuver this if you need to. You shouldn't have to. Pressing Stop Framing, you definitely want to take this right here and ignore this. We don't want to cut any of that. And then what you need to do is just readjust your new text box. All right, I'm not going to change the settings over. I am also make sure that we ignored the cut lines because we don't need them. And we've already made sure that everything is nice and centered. So all you need to do is just press Start. And over at the machine, you just want to press that button. Okay, now that that's done, I'm just going to lift it, slide these out. And then just repeating the same process as before. Okay, now that we have all that done, there is a lot of these that I have to glue magnets on. The easiest way to do that is just doing it all at once. It's gonna take so long. I am gonna be using universal all-purpose silicone glue. I absolutely love this glue for anything acrylic and also like for wood. And this also does really well gluing on metal too. It is the best all-purpose glue ever. All right, now all I'm going to do is take a little of this. Because these are on the back, I'm not really caring if I make a mess or not, but I'm just gonna put a little dab of glue. All right, now I have a bunch of these small little magnets, and all I'm gonna do is take one off and place them. Okay, now that they're all done drying, definitely took me a really long time to glue all these magnets down. I could have been better about the glue, but you know what? It's going to be the back. So these take 24 hours to fully dry, but then I'm going to be able to put these on those little metal cabinets that my husband got for all the cardstock. I'm going to show you that when I'm all finished because it's going to look so good. So all of the name tags are done drying, and I have to tell you, they look really good. So are you ready to see the new and improved, to be honest with you, cardstock warehouse? Which I know I said this once before, and someone was like, it's not really a warehouse if you're in your garage. And while I do 100% agree with you, the fulfillment side is in our garage, but we do have a warehouse now that stores all of the cardstock. So if you're that person that said that once before, just know we do have a warehouse for the backstock. We just are able to fulfill and ship orders here at the house, which is amazing because that means that both of my child's parents, myself and my husband, can be here and present for him whenever he needs us, which is exactly what I am so blessed to be able to do with the cardstock warehouse. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Are you ready to see the name tags? Okay, we are in my craft room, right? This door right here. So still in my craft room, this door right here leads to the new cardstock warehouse. I had to wait to film this until the hubs left because he has no idea that I'm in here. If he was here, he'd be like, don't show them yet. It's not finished. And while it's not, and I do know that he has plans to improve a little bit, like his desk space is not finished, I really am here just to show you the new cabinets and name tags that I made for his new cabinets, because I think like this huge wall, I'm trying to show you like this huge wall of cabinets. Look at that. Looks absolutely amazing and everything is nicely organized. And watch. So we have a huge wall of cabinets, lots of cabinets. These are all in like really nifty caster wheels. All of these drawers, we do sell our cardstock in a single sheets. And so all the cardstock, the drawers will have single sheets of all the cardstocks that we offer. So on this side to the right is going to be all plain cardstock, and then this side to the left is going to be all glitter cardstock. Remember, we're still in the process of trying to figure out where things are going. So all of this isn't going to be there eventually. Okay, so right here we have black plain. Look at how well these turned out. And they're magnetic, so they just stick right there. The cabinets themselves are black and gray, so this matches perfectly and looks so good. And then when you open it up, this says black. It's not revolutionary, but then we have black right here. And then this one right here is salmon. So when you open this up and you look, there is salmon plain cardstock. And then it goes on and on and on. And then on the other side as well, we have, let's see, grape purple is one of my favorites. And they turned out so stinking amazing. So when you open this up, we have grape purple on the left. Isn't grape purple cardstock? Oh, that is just delicious. And then we have magenta pink over here. This is a single sheet. It needs to go in the drawer. He hasn't filled the drawers yet, but we have magenta pink right here. And the reason why we did the magnets, or I wanted to do the magnets, was when he changes things out, he can just simply take this with him. And these look so much cleaner than that Dymo label thing that he was trying to do. What do you think? Hopefully you love the new setup for the cardstock because this looks so good. I should find a picture of what the cardstock looked like in the old garage because it was a sea of cardstock boxes, or I mean cardboard boxes. It was insane how much cardboard was just everywhere. And now we have it like nicely organized in those cabinets, and it'll be a lot easier to find the cardstock when you're looking for cardstock. I think that this new setup that he has is just like the best setup ever, 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 ever. All right, y'all. I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.